I call this city council special meeting to order, March 15, 2023. We'll stand and do the flag salute, pledge allegiance. Ready to begin. I pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do our roll call for individuals present.
Okay, Councilor Prophet.
She's not online, so but she said she would not be here, so she's excused.
Okay. Councilor Williams.
Here.
Councilor Baumgartner. Here. Councilor Cuevas. Present. Councilor Pettigrew. Present. Mayor Keeper.
Here. And then we just have one vacancy. So we have a quorum. So the first item on our agenda is council deliberation regarding city manager recruitment. And I would imagine that's referring to this.
Yes, yes. So if I may, Mr. Mayor.
You may do that.
As directed by council, I reached out to SGR, spoke with Mark, conveyed your message to him about the other candidates and that it is the desire of the council to move forward in the recruitment process. He started asking many questions, which I knew he was going to do. So I said, let's schedule another special meeting so that the council couldn't address them. The only day in the next 2 weeks that could happen was tonight at 6:30. So unfortunately, Mark could not make it. Neither could JJ. So I asked him if he would provide me a list of questions he has for the council so that he can better move forward with your request. So attached is that list of questions for you.
I'm just not very impressed with them. With this, I shouldn't say him. I'm just not impressed with the SGR. I just, for a feller who's supposed to be working for us, but at the same time working for his pool of candidates, I just don't think we got I'm just not that impressed with him, and it really kind of bothers me because I was a fan of SGR at the beginning. I heard lots of good things about SGR, and I'm just not the biggest fan anymore. I really struggle with somebody who's going to really push me to go above my budget to get a candidate in his pool. And that really bothers me. We told him our salary. He should work diligently to find a person in that salary. And that's my struggle as far as SGR goes.
Are we gonna look at his questions and try to make a decision or
You bet.
answer any of them?
So maybe I should preface a little bit to even during it and after the discussion last council meeting, there was some discussion about what it would look like to offer candidates that won't necessarily meet the minimum requirements for SGR in their process, that it would be a local candidate to allow you guys to interview. I asked him that question, and the way he explained it would be, he would be willing to accommodate that request, although that is not their procedures. And if the candidates didn't go through their process, their assessment center, their criteria, then it would negate their guarantee or severely reduce their guarantee of that 18 month. So it's still an option that you do have. But he said it truly changes the way that they do things, and he wasn't excited about it. Let's just say that.
And I think he addresses that in that bullet point 3. That, you know, that if we wanted to do something else, that we couldn't expect his guarantee to be any of value. And personally, I think we can do just as good a job as he did. I think that, we know how to put on the meet and greet. I mean, we've done that and know the process, and it's not hard. And, you know, as far as setting up the panels to interview a candidate, we can do that. So I don't know what his guarantee is worth. I mean, to be honest, I mean, and I've forgotten, did he say that it was good? Like his guarantees, if we want to use him, how long do we have to make up our mind?
So I did ask him if there was a time frame in which the council had to move forward in the process, and he did really, so there was not really a discussion of the date. I said, so what happens if they want to take a 30-day break? And he said, yeah, they can do that.
30 days would hardly give us time.
I just threw out a number.
Right, okay, so, okay. We can make a decision here maybe tonight then.
I did write up a statement before I came here today, that way my train of thought stayed. If it's okay if I read it?
You bet.
All right. Okay, so I personally feel we are done using SGR on our search for city manager. We have scheduled 2 meetings so far so we can discuss moving forward with the hiring process, and they have failed to attend either meeting. And looking at the fees associated with moving forward and the lack of engagement, I feel we should not spend any additional money for this type of service or lack thereof. With that said, I believe we need a cool off period to regroup and rethink our strategy. We already have a job description, but I believe that it may be too narrow of an approach in regard to qualifications. I understand that some believe a college degree is more important than experience. I disagree with this approach. A college degree does not a leader make. I feel we should update this section to include a college degree as a preferred qualification, but also recognize that years of experience in leadership or related field are also qualifying factors. I believe we should advertise on the City of Boardman website, the Chamber of Commerce website, and the Port of Morrow website that the city manager position is open, and allow people to apply. We should use the resources we have available to us at a local level to get the word out. We have not had good results with other search agencies, so I feel these are the best options that we have available to use. Once the application deadline is reached, I would ask that the city staff send all applications and any related material with those applications to the city council so we can review them. We can go through the same process we did with SGR by choosing the top 1 to 3 candidates and moving them forward. I believe a meet and greet should be made available to the public, and interviews should be done with 4 panels consisting of city council, city staff, business leaders, and selected individuals from the community. We should utilize the comment cards at the meet and greet and the consensus from the individual panels to make our final decision. We already have the comment cards and the interview questions for each panel, so there's no need to recreate the wheel. I've created a timeline for this process with the job posting date in May, application closing date in June, executive session in June, meet and greet and interviews in July, and a tentative start date of a new city manager in August. I put a lot of thought into it.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's very helpful. Then I think I'm just gonna get started here, because I'm kind of like Heather. I wrote down what I thought I wanted to say. Because I've really considered this a lot. I mean, this is a big decision, and I have to tell you, I'm not changing my mind. I think people that are familiar with the community are steps ahead. And why we considered hiring somebody that knew nothing about our community and thinking that they were going to work a miracle here in a pretty short year or 2. In a year's time, you will hardly know the community at all. So I think we have to have an opportunity to consider someone that we all know and that has lived in our community and has family and friends, and is willing to come back here and work for the wage we have advertised. Because we, like you say, we need to live in our budget and we have decided what the wage should be. Therefore, I move to suspend the recruitment with SGR and follow our process of a community meeting and greet, and as well as interview panels with Brandon Hammond as the candidate for the city manager's position.
Okay, I will second that so that we can have a discussion.
Karen, would you read that motion one more time for me? Did you write it down? You move to suspend working with SGR and.
Yes, therefore, I would move to suspend the recruitment.
Before you continue though, I wonder if those things should be separated if you're gonna make a motion.
Okay,
The one just suspend SGR, I think maybe have that one separate.
okay,
Let's do that. Let's make the motion to split the two of them.
okay.
So,
I make a motion to suspend the recruitment with SGR.
Okay, so just a point of order, you have a motion in a second, so you would have to rescind your motion.
or what we're having to do is you're gonna amend your motion as well.
I would much rather her rescind it than amend it.
Would you
Because
rather,
you're gonna-
Heather?
Yeah, it would be later, it'd be easier.
Okay,
Just to withdraw your original motion and make this motion that says you move to suspend the recruitment with SGR.
so
Yes,
only her has to do that, correct? She
That
has
is
to
correct.
rescind
We
it.
don't have to vote on amendment then.
Okay,
and I will rescind my motion.
Okay, good. So now the motion on the floor is to suspend the recruitment with SGR.
Yes,
is there anything else you want to add with that as far as SGR?
no, I think
suspending.
I think we have a feeling
Okay,
for that, so.
so I will second that. So we have a motion and a second. Now it's time for discussion. This is the time to have discussion about that.
I am concerned about presenting only one candidate to the community. That was why I suggested, suspending SGR, but also opening it up so that others could apply, including Mr. Hammond. That way we have because there might be other individuals out there that are just as qualified as Brandon Hammond. And give them the opportunity as well. And that way we can present to our community more than just one candidate and let them help us choose.
Well,
So
and
that is my thought.
I think if we're going to advertise, I would for sure go back to the League of Oregon Cities and probably SDO. And I mean, there's a number of places that the city, we would know where to advertise for these kinds of positions.
Mhm.
I wouldn't just do it locally, but yeah, and I might not have, I doubt that we're going to be, they have a list of people that are city managers and stuff, and they broadcast to them, and we probably won't do that, but we most certainly can.
I just think
Yes.
just for fairness wise, we need to open it up so other people can apply.
Right, and if no one else applies, then that's where
Exactly.
we're at. But I agree with that, I think that we should make an attempt to.
So the motion was to rescind.
Rescind, and I think we're still discussing on whether we should rescind it or not.
The question that comes to mind is regarding cost. Because it sounds like that was one of the concerns with SGR. And I don't necessarily, like there's not a cost analysis in front of me. I'm not sure that the cost would be any less if we did it now on our own versus just continuing with SGR, since their fee is gonna be minimal now because it's their second time around. And I thought when we discussed with Mark, it sounded like we could take a surgical approach. Yes, there's the potential that the guarantee would not be there, but I think at this point, we would be done with them anyways. So that was just my thought process, is that essentially, even if we did continue to use them, that it was gonna be more of our, like, we would have the ball in our game as far as like, here's what we want, and like, I wouldn't need him to come here to be here on site, like, we would
Right.
schedule all of those things, and the work piece, I think the workload wouldn't be any different if we were doing it on our own versus just, I mean, you kind of did do it on your own, this time around. So that was my thought, was just, he already has it set up where to advertise and all of the, leagues and I like the idea that you had as far as limiting from what areas that we would be recruiting from. That was where I was going with that, but
The part that struggled, that I got from SPR with some additional information was we could find our candidates that we would like to, but he gets to weed them out because he has a process, his company has a process. Because those people who go to SGR probably pay money for him to find them a job. And so he really probably and I have no idea, but I was imagining that if I was that business, I want to hire from my pool, not from the city council's pool, unless the city council's person that they were thinking that should be in it met the qualifications. And since he didn't find that person, I think he would be more likely, and that's probably not fair because I'm speculating, but it's not in his pool. So when I was thinking about this, I was like, he's not gonna, let's say not he, SGR will be resistant to let us be able to find candidates to add into the pool. And that's the part that he says he works for us, but yeah, I'm still gonna be the mastermind and the puppet master for this whole thing because it's my company and this is a group of people that I'm trying to promote, and I totally get that side. So the idea of maybe postponing it and going a different avenue to see what that is, that would give us till August, maybe July, August. And if we don't come up with something, bam, we can go SDR. We still have we're gonna owe you 10 grand because that's how much you're gonna approximately charge us for the second search. And we still have that guarantee in case that other avenue that we try to do maybe doesn't work or does work. Because that's where I was thinking.
So can I ask a question on what you said, man? With what I just heard right there, are you saying that if we did something ourselves and we didn't come up with a candidate, you would still want to return to SGR?
I think that's why. We'll go and finish. I won't interrupt.
Well, no, and I mean, without rambling, that's probably it. Because I am also unhappy with someone telling me you need to offer more money. And I have been a fan of this company until this, because it just doesn't feel right for someone to say we need to squeeze our community more. And that has made me feel resistant just to dive back in. But I do personally like hearing, okay, if we do it ourselves and we don't come up with something that feels like the community is behind, well, there's a net. It's not just we're done with SGR. This is a suspension of their services. We're going to try to regroup and do this ourselves. And then if that doesn't work, what I'm hearing, then you think we could go back to SGR?
I think the motion was to suspend.
To suspend. So you're right, but that is.
And so to suspend would be put on hold. SGR said that it would be available. He said that would be appropriate. And then, so that's why I was thinking that a motion to suspend to go a different avenue.
Right.
Would be a good way to do it, because we gotta explore other options.
Right.
I think there's other options that instead of just being focused, we gotta only have one focus.
Thank you. And I was personally receiving the word suspend differently, and I appreciate that. It doesn't break, because I believe there's a timeline to the contract, the clause side of it, that they will still help us at that lower cost. If we suspend, do we know if we're breaking?
Well, I think, like, Rick, I thought said 30 days, but we've not asked him. I mean, you know, I think that after we know what we're
Right.
thinking, that then we don't have to ask him. I do think that if you go back to that third paragraph though, about the third sentence, it said, advertising costs, your risk at receiving only a few or even no candidates. Also, all candidates would need to go through our full basis level vetting process to keep the guarantee should the person be hired, leaving the position before the expiration date.
Of 18 months.
Yeah, so,
It sounds like we have that time, if we're interpreting that correctly.
well, no, what he's saying is that they'll guarantee that they won't leave in the first 18 months they're hired. So,
I see what you're saying.
So just for clarification, I only asked, just as an example, 30 days, so
Yes, sir.
we would probably need to confirm that. It really shouldn't change your motion.
I'm just really uncomfortable with someone telling us we need to spend more money. We all saw that presentation, it affects our whole community. And for me, it's the first real thing that's made me be like, whoa, the having the option of being more surgical, I can even kind of understand that in a sense of, this is their process. They want us to trust it, and I know your words like, the puppet master were just on the cuff.
They were just on the.
Yeah, I know.
It's his business.
I know it's
If it
not
was my
meant to-
business, I would be doing the puppet master as well.
I know it's not
I mean,
meant
if
to
it
sound-
was offensive, it wasn't meant to be
But-
offensive for it.
No, but, for me, I'm really not comfortable with that.
well, and I think when I sent you all the advertisement, that was current, that
Yeah.
wasn't from 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That was a current advertisement that I had just received.
And we are,
Trying to get, some of us interested in going and
Yeah.
applying at those jobs.
and we're offering a competitive wage.
That's what I thought, for the size of community. I think our problem is that it's the size of the community, that,
County commissioner was max 52 something.
yeah.
County administrator.
Excuse me, county administrator. Thank you. That they're doing. Is there any other discussion? Are we ready for a vote? Yeah, Christina.
I'm ready for a vote.
All right, roll call. Oh, you got some?
You answered my questions.
Oh. So let's do a roll call of the councilors who are here.
Counselor Williams,
Yes.
Counselor Baumgartner,
Yes.
Counselor Cuevas. Yes. Counselor Pedro,
Yes.
Mayor Keeper,
Yes. All right, so that takes care of the suspension of SDR. That's pretty clear, I think. Is that clear to you?
Direction would be contact SDR, explain that we're gonna take a pause, and explore some other options. And we'll notify them in the future what our. Does that work?
Yes.
All right, so we'll go to the second part of your motion that you were talking about.
Okay, I'd like to, I make a motion to move forward with the hiring, I guess it wouldn't be hiring, it would be interviewing process. For candidates to fill the city manager's position.
Would it be the recruitment process?
Oh, probably that's.
Yeah, the recruitment process, move forward with the recruitment process.
That's why you write it down early before.
I'm just trying to, rather than have it too broad. A defined recruitment process, would that be a little more appropriate? So we're not having just a big recruitment, we're gonna have it defined what we're gonna do, because. My interpretation of what you were saying is that. We would select applicants, local applicants within a regional area. Create a process such as what we've done, the council
I was thinking a lot of what she said in there.
Right, council would create that process, so, I'm just trying to get it a little more narrowed down rather than such a broad.
If I might, I know that we're changing the process. We're gonna have to have an open hearing, take public comment on our new process so that you guys can discuss stuff in executive session again. So we're gonna have to do that.
So the public session would be the process.
Well, no, in order for you guys to follow through with your process, whichever way you decide to go, in executive session, say go through the applications like you did, you will have to have the public say on this new process, we're gonna go it alone, or we're gonna try it without SGR. Here's what we're gonna offer, here's, what we're doing now. Have the comments from the public, and then you can meet for the rest of these types of meetings in executive session.
Correct, so you have to define a process in the public and you have to create the wage scale in public.
So what I would recommend tonight is kind of decide what it is you're going to do and present at that hearing to the public and say, this is what we're doing. So that they have a chance. I don't think we should figure it out at that hearing. I think we should try to figure it out ahead of time.
The way I took your motion is that you want to create a hiring process with the local pool. And leave it at that, and then you can define the process at the public.
Yeah, you have to vote on it after you hear from the public. So, you listen to the public and then you say, okay, now I make a motion that this is the process we're doing. But to move forward on your own or to make any changes that you'd like to make, you certainly can decide on what you're to present to the public.
That's what we're doing, that's what we can do
Yeah.
tonight, right?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you're not gonna vote on exactly what you're doing tonight until after you hear from the public. But you've gotta have something to let the public know what you're doing, what you're planning on doing. And then hear what they have to say, and then you can do the rest of it.
Tell me why this is different, and is it only because it's different because it's the city manager than hiring anyone else? Because I can go to an executive session when I want to hire someone else and discuss with them if they want this job.
So if I can,
Yeah,
you have a specific candidate. Then at that point, you're talking about that specific candidate and that position. What you're talking about in public though, is the process. And how much the pay scale, those are required that you talk in a public meeting. I don't know that it has to be a public hearing, but a public meeting
Yeah,
to define the process that you're going to follow.
yeah, I'm questioning the hearing.
well, you have to let the public have their say. Last time there was no public comment, remember? We asked, nobody said anything. Okay,
And you brought that, look,
yeah, I've got a real limited one and then I got the detailed one that says you can continue the process of hiring in executive session only if you take public comment on the process by which you're hiring.
Well, I don't want to take time to do paperwork, so
Yeah, no, it's.
The word is public comment.
Yeah, public comment.
It doesn't have to be a public hearing.
You have to.
You have to do a public meeting and you can accept public comment.
Oh,
Then, once you've met that burden by establishing the process and the wage, then everything, your interview process, your applicant screening, all that can be done in the executive session.
so the one sentence in that in your executive sessions is for hiring a chief executive officer. That is different. The standards, criteria, and policy to be used must be adopted in an open meeting in which the public has had the opportunity to comment. So we have to we have to say, here's what we're gonna do to hire a city manager. Public, do you have any comments? And then you make a motion to do so. And then you can follow up in an executive session after that.
so we're kind of coming up with our own, kind of the process that we want to do.
Not necessarily tonight. Tonight is, okay, you want to create a process, so maybe at that point, what I took from your comments were, let's have a hiring process. To move forward with a local pool of candidates. I think I would leave it at that. schedule the next meeting where you define the criteria and the wage scale.
Gotcha.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
can I ask a question? This sounds like it's a little cart before the horse, but is a mock timeline, you might not have it in front of you, I can send it. Is it a mock timeline like this? Is it approachable and realistic?
I wouldn't do it at this meeting. I think a timeline should be created, although you gotta realize that you have to look at your applicant pool and then what they're able to achieve in that timeline. Especially if somebody's under a contract or something.
If the only thing we're doing today, though, is for the public comment, to be able to proceed with the executive session is just the bare minimum, which is really the job description already exists, the pay scale already exists, because we just went through this, like, we have all of that information. Couldn't we disclose that information to the public that we have? Because next meeting that we have is in April.
You could.
And then, because we're gonna be behind even this timeline if we wait,
You absolutely could.
because we don't have to have any of the other details determined yet.
The only-
That's the only information you need, right?
You can do that. You have public here. It's just, it really wasn't.
It wasn't
Really
advertised.
wasn't, I mean, it's advertised, that you can talk about the recruitment. It just, if you really want to be.
transparent,
I don't even like that term anymore, because everybody likes to play that.
it's we won't call transparent.
Anyway, if you want to get it out in the public and truly get their comment, then you should say that we want public comment on the process. But you can 100%, you have a legal right, you have, on your agenda, deliberation regarding city manager recruitment. So if you choose to do that, you've already defined those criteria, although I think, I would just narrow the criteria down to accept applications, resumes, create a meeting for the council to select applicants, then move into the interview process and then the meet and greet.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
I like the strike while the fire is hot, but I think that giving a respectable or professional, that public comment is so important. And unfortunately, if no one shows up, that's unfortunate. But it allows them to speak to us, and if there's any like considerations, it gives a time for us to have one final input before we go into we need to talk amongst ourselves for that. So I wouldn't like to, I don't like waiting, but I wouldn't like to just kind of release that and kind of do it like in, I don't want to say mishmash, but like a hurried sense. Like Jackie said, nobody really showed up, which, you want people to show up, and I hope the whole room is full, but that professional courtesy is, I think, really important for us to give.
I like the notice, we have deliberations regarding city manager recruitment. If all we're doing is changing, if the words even change, we're going a different direction.
If I might, Christine is right. You've already defined this in the public.
And that's kind
And
of
you
where
accepted public comment.
we haven't knocked out that, we're not knocking out that citizens are gonna have an opportunity to give their way. We're not knocking out the panels. We're not knocking out the meet and greet. We're just changing how we're gonna find people. And I think if we're just gonna look at finding the different way to get the people, we're not taking any of their voice away. So I'm kind of stuck at like, we can change the direction or the how, but we're not gonna change, maybe how is not good. We're gonna change where we're going, and we're gonna keep the how the selection process is the same. And so that would be the real public input. We're not changing the public's input. And if we're not changing the public input, so they've already given their consent on how we choose that person. We're just gonna go and find that person
instead of having SGR do it.
Correct.
So we're making this too hard then. Why wouldn't we say that we're moving forward with the recruitment process in hiring a city manager on our own?
That's with the spinning and we can sit there and have discussion. That's where we're trying to
I
go.
think that's what she was saying.
So we started there all the way around and we still, so, but I don't have a problem with that because I think that gets us to have discussion to make sure that we're all on the same page.
Yes.
So before we interrupted, Karen was making that motion. I think you guys have defined it. I think you're good to go.
And I think so
That's the
too.
motion.
I really do.
And then what we will do is get the process started.
Now, we still have to finish your motion.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I second it, Jackie.
Okay, so, instead of on our own, what do you think about, to move forward with the recruitment process and hiring a city manager without a recruitment firm? Or just
Internally.
internally? Okay,
That's good.
process internally.
Well, and I don't know what we would say on our agenda that would mean anything different than what we have here.
I know, that's where I was going at, and I really like the idea that,
And we do need to
What your next thing you can share.
have a comment on this then.
Mhm.
So that you can do this in executive session.
But they've already established that in the earlier process and you're establishing it now.
Well, but we're changing it, so I think we should at least offer the public that's here to say something on it, so that we can do it in the executive session. I
They
mean,
can, but they've already met that burden, but you're more than welcome to do it again.
well, but we stated that the process we were doing the last time is to use this recruiting firm. It's different. We told them that's what we were doing. So we're changing that, so I do think we need to. at
open
least-
it up, so you're suggesting that we
Yeah.
should open it up to public opinion for the individuals who are here and for
Yes, so that
comment.
we meet our requirement. to
And
have
on
the
this,
executive
that's,
session.
and on it.
So that we meet our requirements to have the executive session for the rest of this, or else we may have to do it again. That's all I'm concerned about. It says that we need to set the standards, criteria, and policy to be used to be adopted in an open meeting in which the public has had the opportunity to comment. So we're changing the criteria on how we're doing it, or we're changing the standard, we're changing the policy, we're changing something.
So your recommendation is to be safer, if that's the right way word,
That's everything.
to give an opportunity so that people online could obviously say, hey, we had a chance to talk, and they can't come back and say, hey, you stifled this, even whether it's. Okay,
I would. just
I know we had
think
some
that
people
you
that
have
did
executive session.
disagreement.
So easily take public comment, and then at the next meeting, you can also take public comment about the city manager process, but that doesn't mean it stops the process from moving forward.
And
So you
still
can
have
do it
executive
today,
session.
and you can do it. Yeah,
Could we also just get the motion reread at the point when we're
Okay,
ready?
one more time, I read the motion, and I believe Christina seconded it.
Yeah, I just,
So what we have on the floor, Karen motions to move forward with the recruitment process in hiring a the city manager internally. Instead of on our own.
So do we so we need to vote on it before we open.
We've
the
got a
public
first and
comment.
we've got a second. But before we vote, I would recommend asking if there's any public comment on this. This way I just would feel more comfortable having an executive session if
I
we
was
need
just
to.
wondering where, I'm just trying to figure out executive session for what.
Not tonight.
No, but let's say you decided, to have an executive session regarding this for any reason. I don't think that you could because it's a different process. We're not going to.
But if we took public, even if we took public comment next meeting too, it would still allow us to have.
Yeah, but between now and then, if you wanted to have one, I would refrain until after you took.
Oh, yes.
Let's ask these guys if they have any comments unless.
Yeah,
you
that's
want.
what I say, that's what I say.
All right, anybody, so we'll go with the two fellas that are sitting out here in our chambers. Do you guys have any input or comments that you would like to have? You do not, you you do not have?
I'll give you, yeah, I can tell you, I wanna know what the guarantee was with SDR. And I'm asking that because of the Park and Rec Board, this guarantee thing, I'm going, oh, did we have one with our last one, the person we hired? And did we not get served right? So that's, I wanna know a little more about that guarantee, if you don't mind.
That can be discussed offline. I don't think that has anything to do with the public comment on their process, so.
Okay.
Just saying.
We'll answer that question for you.
Okay, and then, so as for, your process, I think it's great that you're trying to find local people. I don't think it needs to be narrowed to local people. I think if someone finds it online from wherever, but, you know, recruiting, trying to get people that you know and push, I think that's awesome on your part. Go get them.
Thank you.
Do I have any hands raised online? I see a couple people on there that, do you have online, have any comments that you would like to share? That would be, I'm thinking a negative. All right. So we have, taken public comment, and probably should vote, let's vote.
And roll call, okay. Counselor Williams,
Yes.
Counselor Baumgartner,
Yes.
Counselor Cuevas,
Yes.
Counselor Pettigrew,
Yes.
Mayor Kiefer.
Yes. And thank you for your public comments.
Thank you.
No, I thought for sure, I won't say, but I thought for sure Tori would have a comment, she always has a comment. But I will leave it at that. All right, so we know where we're going as far as, oh, she's driving, okay.
Yeah, probably got a good idea then.
That's funny, touche. Touche. All right, so now we're gonna go to the CREZ 3 board, and you wanna explain that, or you want me to explain it?
So I would tell you that CREZ 3 board needs to be examined. You assigned staff or
Voting members,
voting members at CREZ 2, you probably should explore CREZ 3. And part of that reasoning is under CREZ 3 board right now, Karen is listed as the city manager, and so you would have to make that change anyway. So now would be the time to maybe explore CREZ 3 board members.
so when I found out that our CREZ 3 board has our city manager, who's not the city manager anymore. It was my thought process that we would at least try to keep CREZ 2 and CREZ 3 as similar as possible. Because we're working for both the entities. So I was thinking that, Mayor Keeper, who's on CREZ 2, would be on CREZ 3. To me, that was a no-brainer. Counselor Pettigrew was on CREZ 2. She's been on both, on the CREZs since it's been inducted. So Karen Pettigrew would need to be on it. Well, one thing that happens is they have 3 voting members, which is usually a staff member. We don't have a staff member. So we have another open position who's a voting member. So we have an open member and an open alternate. Counselor Williams was the alternate for CREZ 2. But I was thinking, hey, we got an open voting member and an open alternate. So we're looking for some things here. We're looking for some people.
I am willing to fill either of those.
Okay,
I know that's pretty indirect and, you know, if I can.
you're willing to serve.
And
You're willing to serve.
I was gonna nominate, Counselor Baumgartner.
Okay. So we're gonna have Council Baumgartner as a like voting member. Would you like to do that? Have her as a voting
Yes,
member?
well, that's what I was gonna.
Okay.
seconded.
Second? Okay, and how about we just put that right in there and put Isaac as the alternate?
And if there's no disagreements and I can second that, sure.
That's where he's been.
Yeah,
Do we need a motion?
yeah, we kind of do have a motion.
Yeah, Christina made the motion and Isaac seconded.
Okay, so we'll do a roll call.
All right, so let me get this straight. What we've got for CREZ 3, to keep it the same as CREZ 2, roughly, you said Mayor and Karen. And then Heather as the voting member and Isaac as an alternate,
Yes.
okay?
That was the
Christina
motion
first,
and the second.
Isaac second. Want to do a roll call?
Yes, please.
Okay,
Me,
I'm sorry.
Let's decide whether it's CREZ 2 or CREZ 3.
Good, three.
so, discussion.
Yeah.
I would just, let you know that at some point when you have a full-time city manager, that staff person really should be one as the staff member, so you may have to reevaluate this in a few months.
Yes, that would be correct. I would imagine that, but once we get the staff member, I would think that that would be appropriate.
Okay.
Okay, roll call.
Great. Counselor Williams,
Yes.
Counselor Baumgartner,
Yes.
Counselor Cuevas,
Yes.
Counselor Pettigrew,
Yes.
Mayor Kiefer.
Yes. So now we have our voting members and our alternate for our meeting that's coming up in April. So that's not good. We have that together.
And
All right.
we will make sure that everybody that is on the CREZ board is notified by the CREZ manager with the packets and everything.
Because I think they've selected the date. Yes, Friday the seventh, yes.
Is that's 7:30 in the morning or 7 in the
No,
morning?
it's the afternoon,
1 to 4, I think.
1 to 4.
Yeah, otherwise I won't be here. Before you adjourn, I would like to make a
We
comment.
have some good to the order.
Yes, so I just want to remind everybody that as of today, your statement of economic interest is open. I would strongly encourage you to get that done as soon as possible. Heather's already done hers.
Did that come in the email today?
Yes,
Okay, because I looked and I hadn't seen it when I did it this morning.
so.
We'll double check it and make sure.
No, I'm sure it's there because I checked it earlier this morning.
It's not there. It should, everybody should have gotten theirs today.
Yes, Heather got hers, I know mine.
We've got 2 planning commissioners that have already done theirs.
Yeah, so it's important to get it done, and fail to do so is a fine, and then up to $5,000 over amount of time. So it doesn't take 10 minutes to fill it out. So if you have questions about it, make sure you click on the little blue check mark, because it'll tell you exactly what you have to put. Very important. That's all I have.
Anybody else have anything good for the order? No. All right. I hereby close this meeting.